friends. My name is Steve, and this is Steve Talks Books and Stuff. Hope all of you had a great weekend, a great holiday, if you're into that sort of thing. This is the last update for 2021. 2022 is right around the corner. So thank you all for watching, for subscribing, for liking, all that fun stuff. For those of you who are new here, I like to read grimdark, horror, fantasy. I read a little bit of everything, but lately it's been more horror and grimdark. I also really enjoy talking to people. I enjoy hearing their stories. I enjoy a good conversation. So my weekly update, I just talk about what I've been reading, what I'm going to read, stuff on the channel. And this week, I am excited to say that we are announcing a couple of new books. Last week I was trying to think of new ways that can help new authors or newer books, self-published or small press books, just get the word out. So I put the call out there for anyone who wants me to read off their book that's being released or going to be released, to let people know about it. That way if someone's interested in it, they can go check it out. Also, for weekly updates, I always add chapter notes, so if you want to jump to the sections that are of interest to you, they're down below. Let's start with what I was reading last week. So I did finish The 13 Black Cats of Edith Penn. It's a horror book. It kind of reminds me of like a B horror movie from the 80s or 90s, because it has these sections that are really creepy and really gory, and then it goes to this humor that you're not sure if you should be laughing or not. So I did enjoy 13 Black Cats of Edith Penn. And I knew there was a reason I wasn't too crazy about cats. Those concerns have been confirmed. But it's a fun kind of, I don't want to say it's not like a romp, but it's just like a fun. It has a little bit of everything, but it does have those moments that make you wonder if you should be laughing or not. I also did finish The Three Scrooges by Jeff Lane. It's a perfect book for the Christmas season. And my dogs are barking, of course, as soon as I start recording. So I did finish the Three Scrooges. It's a perfect holiday read. Enjoyed that one quite a bit. And I did finish The Wild Dark by Catherine Silva. Now, The Wild Dark is hard to explain. It's a mixture of a lot of different genres. It's horror, but it's also a mystery. It's also could be like a psychological thriller. It's a bit of a drama. It's a little bit of everything, but I really enjoyed it. It's one of those books that from cover to cover, there's really no lapses. You don't really get bored. There was a little period of time in there where I was kind of like, okay, what's going on? But other than that, I mean, it was wall-to-wall development of the story and the characters, and it does do some jumping back and forth on the timeline, and I thought it was done really well because it keeps you guessing of what's going on and what these characters have been through, because it jumps to the past and then it jumps to the present. And I don't want to say too much because I don't want to spoil anything, but it does make you wonder what's real and what's not, because some people say one thing and some people say another, but it was a ride. It was a fun ride. And I do have a discussion with Catherine Silva later this week to discuss The Wild Dark. That'll be out this week. I don't think that'll be a live stream, but we will have a non-spoiler section for those of you who want to check that out. When if you're curious about the book and just want to hear about it without being spoiled. So this week I started Flesh Rehearsal. I'll be talking with Leslie the Nerdy Narrative and Brian Bowyer about this one later this week as well. And Brian's writing is the way I like to describe it is like matter of fact. There's some books and some movies that kind of, when something really, really awful is about to happen, they build to it, like you kind of see it coming, like they prepare you, okay, this is something bad is about to happen. Brian doesn't do that. You feel safe one moment and the next moment something really terrible happens to someone, and there's no cushion. It's just hits you. So I do enjoy his writing style. It's very matter of fact and clinical is the way I like to describe it. So I started. It's one of those books too that you start reading and you're just turning pages. It's just quick. It's a fast read. And after that, I'll be starting Shade by Chad Nicholas. We do have a meetup with Chad next month. I think it's first week of next month. So, and that's open to anyone who wants to come. It's on the forum calendar. Just RSVP there on the forums, and join us, whether it's in the chat or on camera. You can do either one. So last week on the channel, I did have an author conversation with Will Richardson, and it was an interesting one because we recorded it Tuesday, and Tuesday was one of those days for me. Just was not having a good day, was really upset, just had a rough day at work. Just, it's one of those days that you've just had it with everyone that you work with, and you're on the verge of just, it's one of those days. It was that day for me. So when I got home, I got home late because I worked long hours, and I kind of didn't have very much time to prepare myself. And I hate canceling these on anyone because I don't want to commit to something we plan. Some of these I plan a month or two ahead. So I hate to cancel. I wasn't going to cancel, and so I was going to go through with it. I just had to kind of prepare myself. But it's one of those days where you start wondering, you know, you start questioning everything. You get really upset, and you start wondering what you're doing. But I had a really great time talking to Bill Richardson. He sent me a list before of topics that he's knowledgeable in. So I started writing questions down, and something that Jason's Weird Reads and I had talked about, if those of you who have seen that conversation with Jason, is there's always this fear of running out of questions, because if you write questions down for someone and they answer them really quickly and you're 10 minutes in and you're out of questions, then it's like, what do I do now? And it's like this panic sets kind of like oozes in on you, and you kind of like, oh shit, what do I do now? So I always try and have more questions than I think I'll need. I always try and have like 2 pages of questions written down. So so I wrote all these subjects down. I wrote a question for each subject almost, and we talked for 2 hours, and we didn't get into really to the meat of writing and books until the very end, and time just got away from us because he's experienced in TV and film production, documentaries, history, the Hatfield and McCoy feud. We talked about that. We talked about the Great Depression, the Industrial Revolution, technology today, rural living. People are moving to rural areas. I mean, just artwork, comic books, the MCU. We talked about just a ton of subject. And he's just so knowledgeable, and it was such a good time. I felt so much better after that conversation, and after, it means a lot when an author will tell me, hey, thanks for what you're doing, or, I know this takes you a lot of time, so thanks for taking your time, or, what you're doing really helps out authors, or really is really fun to watch, or whatever. So that was really nice. That really kind of flipped my frown upside down, because you can say. So that was a really great conversation, really really good one. Those of you who can't sit through 2 hours of YouTube videos, because I think on Premium you can run it in the background, or I've heard a few people tell me. So this is all these are available on my audio podcast. It's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google. There's a few other ones, or you can download the file directly from the Buzzsprout site. And I do have some author conversations scheduled for January. After that, I think I'm going to take a break, and not too long, but just maybe like a month or so. And just kind of take a step back a little bit and reevaluate what's happening. Like what's working, what doesn't work. Kind of my approach to it. Of course, I'm open to all of your feedback on what I can be doing better, or what you'd like to see more of or less of. I always appreciate all those of you who kind of let me know what you'd like to see, or what you enjoy or what you don't enjoy. So let me know down below if you'd like to see more author conversations, less, what you'd like to see changed about them, because I'm always open to changing things up and just trying new things. So this week on the channel, I do have a couple of meetups planned. The first one is the Wild Dark discussion with Catherine Silva. We'll be talking about the Wild Dark. We will have a non-spoiler section for all of you who are curious about it, who want to learn about the book but don't want to be spoiled, want to read it. So we'll have that, so keep your eyes out for that. I'm not sure when that'll be up. I'm not sure when that'll be live. I don't think that'll be a live stream. I think that will be pre-recorded. And something I think I'm going to do more of this year is especially for books that we talk spoiler talk. I think I might just record those and then add chapter notes. So those of you who are watching after the fact know when the spoilers are coming. And on live streams, sometimes you can jump in and get spoiled on accident. So I don't want that to happen either. So that's something that I think I'll be changing up here moving forward. All the ones that I have scheduled that will be live streams, like the Nightmare Land Chronicles, those are all live streams, but I think I might be changing that up a bit. Also later this week, I will be chatting with Leslie from the Nerdy Narrative and Brian Bowyer about Flesh Rehearsal. We're going to be chatting on Thursday night. That will be a live stream. So we'll be chatting about Flesh Rehearsal, talking to Brian, just various topics. So drop by if you want to ask Brian a question or interact with us. It's always a great time with Leslie and with Brian. Brian's just one of those people you can just talk to, and he's a great storyteller. I always enjoy hearing him tell stories, or just he's one of those people that when he talks, everyone turns and listens. Also, this week, my top reads of 2021 will be coming. I've been going back and forth on this because on one hand, I think I should narrow it down to 10, like my top 10, and that's it. On the other hand, I think maybe I should do a top 10 and then some honorable mentions, or just name off my top 20 reads and just not number them. So I've gone back and forth. I've kind of settled on my top 10 and a few honorable mentions, but there's just so many great books that I've read this year that I hate to leave anyone out. So I'm not sure. Let me know down below what you think. I'll probably be recording that Monday or Tuesday, so if you're watching this before then, let me know down below if you have any suggestions or what you enjoy in your top 10 list. I'm always open, like I said, to ideas. Also, a couple of days ago, I did add all of the forums for the group reads or discussions that I had planned for 2022. I mean, it could be later this year, but I added a forum for anyone who's interested in reading one of these with me. Added a place for us to communicate on the forum, so check that out if you aren't already there. It's a way for us to plan and just kind of say, well, does May or June sound good for you, or does next fall? I think we're talking about doing the Expanse series maybe in the summertime, kind of just bouncing ideas around. So that's the kind of thing, is we're not going to be planning them all now. It's just when would you be available kind of thing, or what sounds good to you, and just kind of thinking about it that way and not being too structured, but just have an idea for when things are going to happen and a place for us to all communicate. So like I mentioned earlier, I did have a couple of authors reach out and asked me to read off their new books that are being released on the weekly updates, which I'm really excited about. And both of these are books I want to read, so it works out really well. The first one is from Sienna Frost, and the book is called Obsidian Awakening. For the description, and I'll leave all the links down below for where you can find Sienna Frost, you can find the book. This book is available now. I think the release date was yesterday, Christmas Day. So this book is available to purchase now on Amazon. I'll leave all the links down below where you can find Sienna Frost and find more information about the book. So the first book is called Obsidian Awakening. So I'm going to read this off, read the description in my movie trailer voice. Let's see if I can land a narrator job one of these days, maybe a little side hustle. So here we go for Obsidian Awakening. The description. A war fought for peace. A former slave who trades away his freedom. An oracle tormented by his visions. A wife who lives to kill her husband. A half-blood son born from hatred. A tyrant who fights for unity. A girl destined to end the war. A sadistic bitch called fate who breaks them all. 7 broken heroes, born on both sides of the war between an empire and a nomadic race of the desert, must survive being tossed into the midst of chaos and forced to decide what they treasure more, loyalty to their lands or what they hold dearest to their hearts. So I will add, that is the description for Obsidian Awakening, and so check that out on Amazon. I will also leave Sienna Frost's contact information down below where you can purchase the book or follow her on Twitter. So check that out. Now the second book is called We Break Immortals and is written by Thomas Riley. So Thomas reached out. He's another person I follow on Twitter and interact with on Twitter with writing. I know he's been working on this book for a long time. I think we talked about it like 8 months ago, just kind of, hey, he was writing a book and we briefly talked about it. So it's exciting to see this book being released now. So let's get into the summary. I'll try and do the movie trailer voice. Let's see if I can pull this one off. So We Break Immortals is described as a new epic dark fantasy saga of the R-rated variety. A drug addict who haunts sorcerers by tracking their magic. The most renowned swordsman no one has ever heard of. A thieving, magic-wielding woman hell-bent on revenge collide during a last-ditch effort to stop an insane, superhuman serial killer from making himself a god. The render tracers always say magic users deserve to burn. Arin couldn't agree more. Kaluan would beg to differ, and Corin couldn't care less either way. In a world where most people use swords for protection, Arin uses tools that let him see what no one else can see in order to hunt the dayless people in the world. He is a render tracer, using loopholes that can block magic to stop rogue sorcerers. But his next hunt will throw him into a world where he can't trust anything, not even his own eyes. When Kaluan finally escaped her fourth parent's home and set out on her own, she never thought she would one day be killing her own kind. She honed her magic on the streets, haunted by her past, hunted by render tracers, and feared by a society that hates what she is. Now she joins a crew of outcast magicians as they race to stop an insane sorcerer who is trying to break into the source of all magic to make himself a god. Corin is a sword fighter first, a drinker second, and, well, there must be something else he is good at. He is a rogue for hire. He is terrible at staying out of trouble, and when he does get caught up in a multi-kingdom manhunt, he finds himself having to care about other people for a change, and he's not happy about it. They were about to collide on the trail of a man who is impossible to catch, who is on the verge of plunging the world into ruin, and who can turn loyal people into traitors in a single conversation. They must struggle against their own obsessions, their fears, ancient prophecies, and each other. All they have to do is stop the unstoppable. Simple. So that is the blurb and description for We Break Immortals. I will leave all the information provided by the authors down below. These are both books I want to read, and I added them both to my ever-evolving TBR list, and that is also on the forum. I'll leave that forum link down below for anyone who wants to see that thread that is already changing. It changed about 10 minutes after the video went live, so not drastically, just a little bit. So I want to thank Sienna Frost and Thomas Riley for reaching out to me and for asking me to read off information about their books for more people to find. Like I said, I'm really excited that a couple of authors took me up on it, and hopefully more will in the future. But if you are an author and want to contact me or want me to read off your book that's nearing a release or been released, all that information I'll leave down below. There's a forum thread there with all the information on it. If you'd like to help spread the word, I like spreading the word and helping out people with their creative endeavors. So for those of you who celebrated the holiday, how was your holiday? Did you have a good time? Did you meet with family? Did you isolate? Did you have a nice and quiet holiday? For us, I saw my mom and my grandmother and my dad, and then yesterday we kind of just hung out. We drank some whiskey. We always gift each other whiskey. We're friends. Always gift each other whiskey. And so we just, kind of hang out, and we drafted a box of, what was it called? Midnight Hunt, the new Magic the Gathering set that I'm not too crazy about. I haven't played Magic for a while. I haven't bought a new set for a while, and we usually try and draft a box for holidays, and I'm not too crazy about it. And yeah, so not too good. I don't know. I'm not back to Innistrad. For those of you who are familiar with Magic and the planes, you may know what I'm talking about. Just like, let's do something else. Every time I look, we're back to Innistrad. But so let me know down below how you're doing. What are you up to? What are you going to read? What are you watching? What are you listening to? I always enjoy finding new books, new movies, new music to listen to from your suggestions, what you're up to. And I just love the interaction. That's why I do this stuff. It's fun to interact with all of you, and that's really what makes all this fun. So if you'd like to connect with me, the best places on our forums. That's where I'm spending the most time and where I like to plan all this stuff. We talk about games, sports, books, Magic, just usual BS, whatever. So I'm there all the time. So if you need help, that's the best place to find me. That's where I spend the most time and the best place to find me. And we have a small but tightly knit community there, and it's fun to see more people joining and more people getting, just joining the fun over there. I also use Vero as my social media platform of choice. That's my personal account. I post pretty much everything there, what I'm listening to, what I'm reading, what I'm watching, just random pictures of my dogs and stuff like that. So if you use Vero, let's connect there. Or I do have a bookish Twitter. I'm at Steve Talks Books, and I'm trying to use Twitter less and less. I'm trying to not use it as much. I'm kind of taking a step away from Twitter. I like to take breaks from there. I hope you all have a great week. Talk to you soon.